being a little bit late. We'll start off and talk about haven't really had a chance to talk about the game on Sunday at Carolina. It was a tough loss. Going back and looking at film, we did some good things, but there were some moments during the game that we played poor. There was a two minute stretch in the first quarter where it was 14-13, and then they go on an 8-0 run over the last 2 minutes of that first quarter, and then about 5 minutes and 28 seconds of the third quarter, we're up two, and in that 5.5 minutes, we have 4 turnovers, 4 of our 11 turnovers. We go 0-3 or 0-4 from the field. While they don't turn the ball over, go 6 of 8 from the field and 7 of 8 from the line, and that kind of was what determined the game. As we made a nice push there in the fourth quarter. We cut it to 6, have a chance to cut it to 5 with the free throw and miss, and then we missed, I think, 5 straight free throws. And they didn't score over that stretch. So it's not like they went down and scored and we missed 2. We just missed 5 straight, which could have been down to a 1-possession game. So overall, I thought we did some really good things, a lot of things to be excited about, and a lot of correctable errors that we have talked about and worked on. So you move on from that game. I didn't expect us to go undefeated in league play. Obviously, no one's going to go undefeated in league play, and that's not surprising either. I think it's one of the best, if not the best and most balanced leagues in the country. So we're excited for tomorrow's game. We've got a Boston College team coming in here that's 11-9, 3-4 in the league. They've had some really, really good games. They're very well coached. They're going to spread the floor. They shoot a lot of threes, so it's going to put some pressure on us to make sure we're communicating. Their 5-player shoots threes, so it's a game where you can't just run back to the middle of the paint as a post player and wait for the opposing post to come down. We're going to have to find them on the perimeter and make sure we talk, because they do. I mean, they shoot it quick at times, and then at times they'll run through their offense, and it's going to be a game that we're going to have to be on point. Our communication is going to have to be really, really good. Any questions?
You and Joanne are good friends, I think, and they always seem to play you close. Is that the style that they play? Because it does always seem like they're good games.
Well, yeah, I mean, and she does a great job of coaching. They'll come in here with a game plan. It's what I say all the time. I mean, she's not just going to guard you one way. If you attack them and score against them one way, they're going to switch. So you've got to be prepared to switch up during the game. Defensively, they do a pretty nice job of protecting the basket. They're going to make you shoot pull-up jump shots. They're going to throw some odd front zones out there to try and confuse you. And then they're similar to us in the fact that, you've got 4 kids on their team that are averaging double figures. So you've got to guard everybody. It's not like there's just 2 or 3 and the rest you don't have to worry about. So we know it's going to be a great game, and we have a ton of respect for them.
Talking about just the conference, I guess, what do you make of a Boston College team that can, beat Miami, that beat NC State, but then lose to Duke to beat Virginia Tech? I guess just how do you really encapsulate the conference and just Boston College coming into Thursday?
Well, I think the league is what it is. It's why I laugh when somebody's like, "Yeah, you've only beaten the bottom half of the league." Well, that's because we've beaten them. When you've only played 4 or 5 games, when someone loses 1 or 2, they're obviously going to be at the bottom half of the league. Well, now things are starting to change. As Duke is winning some ball games, Miami is winning some games. So eventually I think we'll have to change that and say, well, you've beaten teams at the top. Every game in our league, it's what I've said, you've got to be prepared. Clemson is 1-6, and they're probably the best 1-6 team that I've seen in a long time. I mean, I think we're the only team to beat them by double figures throughout a majority of the game. I think they lost by 12 or 13 at Virginia Tech, but it was a one possession game, two possession game for most of the game, all the way through the fourth quarter. It's not a league where you can just walk in and go, okay, it's a win. Everybody has gotten better. I think everybody's gotten better, and I'll say I'm not sure. In the past, our top has been sometimes team. We had two or three teams in the top five. You've got North Carolina, NC State up there right now, but they've lost 2 games within the league already. Also, Syracuse is playing some great basketball right now. So you have to celebrate each win you get. Can't get too high and can't get too low.
Following up on that real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of games left to be played before postseason, but when you look at the bracketology, I think Miami's one of the first 4 out. Is that kind of a good and bad thing that the league's so competitive in that, everybody is good, but then when it comes to postseason, it seems like maybe some of those teams that maybe in a different conference would have been included?
Well, I mean, the great thing about it is I think right now they have us down for like 9 teams making it in the tournament. If you can get 9 to 15 in, that's a pretty darn good year. But what it does is it gives you the opportunity to play yourself in. I've got some friends that are in what they call the mid-majors. And for us, you might lose a game to someone, as we say, at the bottom of the league in the rankings. But then I've also got about 7 games left against top 25 teams, where some of my friends that are in this profession, they're at the top of their league, and then if they lose, it's a bad loss. It's a bad loss. Well, basically what they're saying is there's no good wins because there's nobody ranked in the top 30 in the RPI in their league, which is what I think kind of wrong with the way things play out, is we have so many games to make up for what we call a bad loss. So anybody in our league, no matter where you are, you've got opportunity to win a lot of good ball games. You can be 1-6 right now. If you're Miami, you're 2-4, and you win 4 games, and all of a sudden you can be in the talk of being in the top 25 if you beat the right 4 teams. So there's a lot of games left to be played, and there's going to be a lot of movement within our conference standings.
Jeff, you mentioned communication in this game in particular is going to be key. How has this group been in that department up to this point?
They've been great. I mean, when you've got 8 new players on your roster, it's going to take some time for them to really get a feel for playing game minutes together. And we're getting better. Are we perfect where we want to be yet? No, but I've seen growth. And, you can see that when you're watching film and even during games. But then we also still have some slippage that we have to clean up. And I think that's where our problem is right now is we'll get into, instead of it just being a 1 possession where we have some slippage, it will turn into a 2 or 3 minutes. And then all of a sudden we let a team go on an 8-0 run. But the problem is it's not even an 8-0 run where it's just the ball keeps going up and down. Like against Carolina, I sat there and I was like, I could have called a timeout or 2 when they went on that 15-2 run. But the problem is the ball stopped about 6 times. We kept fouling. So it's not like it was continually moving. Like they go to the free throw line, we call a set, the same thing I would have done during a timeout. And then we came down and turned the ball over. So that's the areas that we have to improve at. Now, those aren't happening as often, which is a good thing.
Go back to the league thing. 5 wins, 3 of them are on the road, the next 3 at home. How important is it to not slip up when you're at home? Because it's almost like a bonus when you win 1 on the road.
Oh, yeah. You have to win home games. It's so important to win your games at home. We've talked to our kids about that. We know we have 3 in a row here at home, but we haven't even worried about our Sunday game. We know Boston College is first and foremost. As I've said, I've got a ton of respect for them. It's a team that beat Miami at home, so you know they're extremely talented. It's a Miami team that beat NC State. I mean, they're just our leagues. It's good and it's crazy. You just can't. You can't look at games to be played and go, okay, that's a guaranteed win for that team. That's a guaranteed win for that team. You just don't know. I mean, Virginia goes down and wins at Florida State. I don't think anybody had predicted that, but everybody's good. And that's why you've got to respect everybody you play.
As far as with this group, now that about a week out from February especially, are you getting even more of a better feel about rotations and even more so what you're going to get from players in certain situations? And I guess how is that process going right now?
Oh, it's fine. I mean, there's still some consistency. I'd like to see more consistency from some of them. But when you look at it, I think we've got 9 right now that are getting the opportunity to see pretty consistent amount of minutes, and it doesn't mean the other ones won't get a chance either. It's it's kind of what you show me in practice each day gives me that confidence to put you in during games. But for those that are getting a lot of clock, we just need to get a little bit more consistent with what we're doing. To be able to get to where I think we can get as a team.
Earlier in the year, you talked about the adjustment and what it was taking for the transfers to come in and play at a different level. Is that a thing of the past now? Do you feel like they've all kind of adjusted, or are there still things that some of them are working on?
I think there's still some things that we're working on. We're still working on the intensity you have to play with the entire time you're out there. That's what I talk about, where we get our slippage at times, where our 2 minutes in the first quarter at Carolina, the last 2 minutes, we played with great intensity for 8 minutes, and then for 2 of them we kind of got back on our heels. And when you're playing good teams, they're going to punch you in the face, and that's what took place, and that's what we showed them on film, where instead of being the aggressor, we just took it all. And you can't do that. You've got to be the aggressor on the floor, both the offensive and defensive end. It doesn't mean you take bad shots, but you got to put pressure on people. And we did a very poor job during those 2 stretches of putting any type of pressure on Carolina. So those are areas that hopefully will continue to shrink that amount of time that happens.
Jeff, I think Jada's scored in double digits 3 straight games. Now you've talked about her being more aggressive as a scorer. Is this more of what you wanted to see out of her, or how does she sustain that?
Yeah, no, it really is, and that's what we've talked about. I like how aggressive she's being on the offensive end of the floor. I challenged her after we watched games. I need to see more of that on the defensive end of the floor. She gets too flat-footed. She just, I tell her she's just existing. I can't have players just exist. Now, when she's bouncing, which she's done in games, she's done in practice, she's bouncing at the defensive end, she's anticipating, she can help change the game. And that's what we've got to have from her on the floor at the defensive end, because she's a excellent scorer. She shoots the ball extremely well. She's good off the bounce. I joke with her the other day. I'm like, babe, if a fight broke out in a game, you would not be the one I ran behind. I mean, I think she'd be the first one out the exit. I'm like, I got to get you a little tougher. We got to get a little tougher in that. And we got a good laugh out of that. But she's got it in her. It's just pulling it out of her more consistently. Yes, ma'am. How do we build toughness in players? I mean, it's something with some drills in practice, from showing them film, from just trying to pull it out of them. That's where, as a coach, sometimes you got to just get on them. You have to challenge them. You got to challenge their pride. And the easiest way to do it is by showing film. It's like, is this what you want others to see? And then we also have the good film to show, because they've all shown moments of being aggressive. And like, okay, here's what we need more consistently from you. But see, with that, you have to be in great shape. To play hard at both ends of the floor, conditioning is a factor. And what I try to talk to our kids about is like, we're fortunate enough to be really deep. So there shouldn't be anybody pacing themselves. Like, oh, I better save some energy for the next 3 minutes. Go hard. I'll get you out. Then when the next one goes hard, then I'll get them out. And then you're going to be able to probably perform better in possibly less time, because you're playing as hard as you can. And then gradually you play yourself into shape as well. Anybody else? All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you.